just tell us how your first couple of weeks have been then so far.
Yeah, first few days was madness. Really, I don't think I slept for a few days and just on the phone and organising things, and it was just an absolute whirlwind, really. And but yeah, this week's been really good. Couldn't have asked for any more from the players and the staff. The players have really reacted well and brought a lot of energy to the field sessions and bought into the kind of little bit of tweaks that we've brought in and that what we're trying to do and look at this week and yeah, everyone at the club, from groundsmen to assistant coaches to kit and to anyone who's making the brews have all been fantastic. A warm welcome and yeah, couldn't have asked for anything more.
Have you had time so far to change anything notable to try and change the fortunes?
There's nothing. We got 6 weeks. You're coming in now. It's not about. I've said to the boys, it's not about reinventing the wheel or ripping up the playbook. It's just looking for them little tweaks, in attack, defensively, individually, that where we can just be a little bit better. Try and just get them little 1% wins from the boys that can turn them games on their head and get some victories.
It's no secret that one of the issues has been sort of translating preparation, which has been good, into match day, which at times has been very poor. Is there anything that you've sort of noticed that's stopping that happening that you can sort of unblock in a way, or?
Not that I can say. I mean, it's hard to gauge. Your coaches can come away from a week thinking we've had a great week there, we've had a good team run, and then you can go out and you can play terrible on a weekend. It's hard to put your finger on sometimes. Sometimes you can have bad weeks in training. Balls go down, things like that. And you can turn up on a weekend and you can kill it and put points on. So it's hard to get that formula, and I don't know whether it is a right or wrong. I know personally we've had a really good week on training. We just spoke at the end of today's session, so the boys have just got to bring it tomorrow, really. Accountable to each other and to come do your job, and hopefully work as a team and get where we need to be.
In terms of the squad, is it now a blank, a fresh start for everyone under you, or do you sort of have to have some preconceived ideas?
Yeah, tough. Again, it's everyone wants a blank slate. I think coming in and judge people on how they train, how they are around the place, how they interact with the team, and just what they do day to day. But at the same time, I've watched games, kept an eye on them for. You're watching Cass, week in, week out a lot for a few years. So, lads who've been here a while, who've already got kind of credit in the bank as well with you. So, there's some good young lads at the club as well who I don't know as much around. So it's trying to work out them. But that's where the staff's been brilliant. The assistant coaches there give me feedback all the time on certain players and a lot of it's kind of learning on the run. So it is a difficult balance coming at this time of the year.
And there are vibes of 2006, aren't there? You can understand why parallels have been made with the Battle of Bellevue back then, which you played in. A lot of people forget you were in the cast side that day. What were your recollections of that night?
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, that's taken like 3 minutes to get to that one. That's
sorry.
Yeah, obviously, I know a lot of talk about that one and being at that game, which looking back was a huge game, and we were talking one of the boys. I think a couple of lads had seen it on. I think it had been on Sky. The repeats of it, or when they put like Super League Gold on or something like that, they'd watch that. Which again, I kind of give that one a miss. I don't think I'd want to relive it, but. Yeah, it was, especially with it being a local derby, the Castleford games are always huge, never mind when something's on the line like it was back in 06. I'm sure there'll be a similar atmosphere there tomorrow. Always a tough place to go. Wakefield have been playing very good at home as well. But yeah, it was one to forget for me personally, looking back at my career, certainly.
I remember Monty Beetham describing it as like playing in a test match. Do you have to approach it as such, do you think?
I think it's hard. So I don't want to put any extra pressure on the lad. The boys know what a game, what size game it is. Everyone from the outside, media. It's your jobs to pump it up as it is. We can just only focus on ourselves as a team and individual performances and bringing all that. We've had a lot on this week to try and tinker with a few bits and pick a team that I know can do the job on Friday night. So adding any kind of different pressures or building it up. Yeah, Monty's probably bang on there. It did have a test match feel at the time, but the boys will soon find out. They're going to prep like they should do every week for a Super League game. That's the standard at Super League, where you've got to be on the money and be at your best every week and want to go out and play like it's a test match. So hopefully they're preparing like that.
Just lastly for me, Danny, before I pass you on, obviously it's not a relegation decider, is it, on Friday? But how significant do you feel the outcome could be either way?
It's tough. I think you'll get all the same cliches there. That there's one game at a time, and there's still 5 games to go. Whatever the outcome tomorrow night, either coach will say there's still 5 games to go. There's still a lot of rugby to be played this year. You know, still a lot of points up for grabs. So all we can do is generally take one game at a time. It is a big one, especially where we are on the league table. You know, you can't hide away from that fact. So you know, all we've got to do is just concentrate on that, concentrate on performing. And then what comes, you know, after that, then we'll move on. But all our focus is now is Wakefield tomorrow night and just getting the 2 points.
Yeah, just how much have you enjoyed looking forward to getting back into the game after obviously being away from it for a while?
Loved it, like being back on club level, you know, elite level as well this week. It's been fantastic. You know, it's been a while out the game. So to get back in and around the boys day to day, you know, with the staff in the office and putting all the detail into what we do, watching games, reviewing training, I've absolutely loved it. Really missed it, and just great to be back.
Just to pick on something JD said there, I mean, you could win tomorrow but lose your last 5. Conversely, you could lose tomorrow and win your last 5. Are you going to try and suck the emotion and the occasion out of it for the group and try and get them to just treat it as another 2 points, or will you sort of lean on and play on the importance of it?
It's got to be just like you'd prepare for any other game. I think, you know, like you just said, it's all right coming out and then getting a win tomorrow night, celebrating like you've won the cup final, then just being poor your last 5. It's all, you know, it is one game at a time. How many times is that going to get said in the final 5 weeks? You're boring, all the cliches, but it is. We're preparing like we're preparing every week. You know, you've got to prepare your best and focus on the performance and how we're going to get that performance tomorrow night, and then what comes after. Then we know there's still a lot of rugby to play, a lot of twists and turns there will be with that. We're over 5 weeks left of the season, so it is just literally one game at a time. And to start tomorrow night against Wakefield.
I know you had an idea probably of what you went in and inherited talent-wise, but what have you made of what you've inherited confidence-wise? Is it a confident group? Is it a little bit fragile? What have you made of them?
It seems very confident, yeah. I mean, on paper, always really excited about this cast squad, you know, put down the team and the squad we've worked in this week. It's fantastic. You look from 1 to 17, or even like, you know, 1 to 25 that we've had in training, and some of them young kids that are coming through. It's always a hotbed of talent around Castleford. So excited to work with all these lads. So in terms of, you know, talent and what we've got, it's a fantastic group. Confidence wise, I've not seen any kind of hints of low on confidence, anything like that. The boys have had a buzz about them. You know, they've trained really well, which I thought they would do in prep for playing Wakefield and a new coach coming in. So if they didn't have that, then we'd be struggling. But there's been no question of that at all this week from me.
Will Blake Austin play? And if he will, what do you think he can give you in a game of such high stakes?
Oh, I can't tell you. I don't know yet. It's all top secret. But he's been fantastic around the place. You know, from just his voice in team meetings, he's speaking up, he's seeing things, you know, that we might be missing, or the lads might have missed, and his confidence, you know, he's coming and just really added to the group, you know, just having him out there on the field and talking, getting people around, and he's a fantastic player. We all know what Blake can bring to the team, and he's a fantastic addition to Castleford at this time of the year. So, you know, really looking forward to playing. If it is this week, you'll have to tune in tomorrow.
I will do, yeah. Just finally, are you the underdogs, or do you go in as favourites, given how you're higher up?
I definitely think, yeah, we could probably go in as underdogs with where you look at form and Wakefield at home, being at home in front of all the crowds. But yeah, they'll be confident at home. They've been playing some really good rugby at home as well, and picking up some wins in the recent month as well. So yeah, they'll be definitely favourites and feeling that way as well going into it.
Do you think that this is the best game for you to be your first, given who you're playing, or is it almost the worst because, you know, you don't have as much time? Which way do you look at it?
I'm only just seeing it as a positive. Yeah, I wouldn't go in and say it's a worst game for me. I'm absolutely buzzing to go to Wakefield and on a Friday night with Castleford. You know, that's, like say, it's a local derby. So it is a big game for where we are on the league table. It's a massive crowd on Sky, so absolutely best game for me to just steam straight into.
You mentioned some of the young lads, and you know how they're looking. Is it a big call to put some of those lads in a game like this, or is it almost a great way to put them in?
I think, yeah, I've always said young lads won't let you down. You put them in, and it's just, you know, having the confidence to believe in them and throw them in. You know, that it's in one aspect they're almost fearless in these games. You know, that they maybe don't know as much, you know, not paying attention to much of what it's about, or they've not experienced them kind of games before. So you're almost going as a bit of an unknown. So I've no problems, you know, with what age lads are. If you're good enough, you're old enough, and we've got a fantastic mix of experience and youth in the squad, and whoever takes the field tomorrow night, I have full confidence in.
Are you a bit surprised looking at the squad you've got that Cass are in this position?
A little bit. Yeah, there is a little bit of, you know, why are they where they are, but I think then you got to pay credit to the strength in other teams and the strength of Super League at the minute. You know, you see kind of the table is not a usual picture of how things are. You got, you know, teams like, you know, Lee winning the Challenge Cup, who stepped up from last year, doing a great job. Salford's been outstanding, and it's just a bit of a credit to the competition that all these teams, there's some fantastic players knocking around, and everyone can beat each other on the day. And I think, you know, Castleford have found that this year. But it's not always about what's on a piece of paper from 1 to 17. There's so much more that goes into winning games and having a successful club, successful team. So yes, you look at the paper, there is some quality names on there, and you look at the league table, but it's, again, all credit to what's out there and what's playing well.
In terms of this job, you were sort of linked with it when Radders got it and when Lasty got it. Is this something that you've had your eye on for a while, with it being your former club and back up in West Yorkshire?
Yeah, no secret, you know, that I'd have been interested in the job previously. Club that I've played at and passionate about doing a good job at. You know, you look at the squad and the roster they've got there as well. You know, that's an exciting group of players to come in and take charge of as well. So it's well supported club. You know, fans are fantastic. The atmosphere at games has always been unbelievable, whether played here as an opponent or played here for Cass. So, you know, it's a really exciting club to me, and you know, traditional, passionate club that I'm excited to be at. So just buzzing to be in charge now and able to take us forward in these next 6 games.
And is the initial deal until the end of the season? Is that the arrangement at the moment?
Yeah, that was what we did to start with. Yes.
When you come into a club as a head coach, so like with Cass, what are the first things you look at and try and identify whether they're working well, whether they need changing or not?
I mean, watch games back. You know, looking at the squad, looking at individual performance, stats there, how they've performed as a team, and then just get feedback as well. You know, speak to the lads, get their point of view, get the coach's point of view, being involved with it. You just got to put all that together really, and then try and delve into what we can change and little tweaks we can make. You know, the boys have kind of all had good, honest conversations with a lot of the lads since being here. That started, you know, as soon as I got the job, just on the phone, and because they're the ones out there, they're the ones, you know, day-to-day training and playing. They'll know best, and they've been, you know, there's some good players there who've played in successful teams and been as well as when Castleford have been playing well as well. So it's everyone's opinion. Just been trying to pick at everybody's thoughts and watch as much as I can and just, you know, then just trying to get them tweaks in training where we can just get a little bit of confidence and make a few changes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 21-man squad. Obviously, there's a sort of noticeable number of players there who've got squad numbers in the 40s, which I guess shows the sort of changes to the squad that's been ahead of the transfer deadline. Since you've come in, have you seen those lads have settled pretty well and integrated quickly into things?
Seems like it, yeah. There's a real good team bond there. I said beforehand, I don't, you know, these boys have come in pretty recently. There's a lot of them, but it seems like a good mix. They've fitted in really well. I wouldn't know, stepping in a week ago, I wouldn't think, oh, these lads are new. They look new, or they're the old guard sat over there, or there's the new boys. There's none of that. So to me, it just looks like a squad who've been together for a long time.
Yeah. Are you taking any lessons from 2019 with the Broncos being in this situation, whether it's sort of positive or negative, things you could have done differently or things you felt worked?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we're always going to look back and reflect on, what went well, what went wrong in your previous work as a player as well. Being in successful teams, being in teams where it's not been successful, and you take them experiences from anywhere in life, and then talking to other lads and other coaches who've been involved in similar situations. You're always picking at bits, and hopefully, the little bits I learned there at London in 19, I can hope that it doesn't happen this time.
Yeah. Just finally from me, I just want to ask about your little stint in rugby union as well. What have you sort of taken from your time at Roslyn Park that you feel has helped you as a coach coming back into rugby league?
It's a different environment. Sometimes you can work at elite level all the time, and you kind of get used to that dealing with full-time players, but having to work with part-time players who have jobs away from rugby and training on nights and things like that, you put into different environments all the time. So again, it's all about learning from those different scenarios, different environments. It was fantastic. It was a good club and a great set of lads and coaches there, and just you're having to do things a little bit differently because you're in a part-time environment. And like I say, if you do one thing all the time, then you're just going to get used to that, whereas putting yourself in different scenarios and different experiences, should just broaden your knowledge of, the game and working with people, because you've got to build relationships in anything you do. And that was, the challenge when you're not full-time. You don't get to spend as much time with people as you do in an environment like this. So, it was a great learning tool. I enjoyed every minute I was in there.
Did you ever sort of reflect on the fact that your career could have been incredibly different if only you'd won that game at Wakefield in the last game of the season in 2019?
Yeah, I do reflect. I mean, it's one of them, because I'm big on just, you can't focus on what ifs and
no.
Yeah, massive on that as well. But you can't help but wonder, what would have been different. I think I look at it, not so much as my career, but I think from a London rugby point of view and a Super League point of view, if London had stayed in that year, I think it'd be, I think the year after COVID happened, so no teams got relegated, and I think you're talking 2 or 3 years down the line then of having a Super League club in London, which from a point of view of the game situation, I do think that would have been fantastic. But I don't look at it as a personal point of view. Where would I be, or what would it have been for me? It's almost like, well, I think the game needs that, but that's another conversation.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, do you think a Super League club in London could be viable ultimately?
100%. Yeah. That's I could start talking about that, but you'll have me on here for about 4 hours talking about.
Certainly talk with you about that on another occasion.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Just on coming back to your current situation, 6 games remaining. As has been said already, this game, it's a crucial game, but not absolutely crucial. You could lose it, but still win all lots of other games and still not get relegated. But nonetheless, 6 games to rescue the club in a sense. John Keir did that with Wakefield in 2006. I wonder whether you've had a word with him, because he set down the template, didn't he, for coming in with 6 games to play, and you were on the receiving end of that in that last game of the season that year. I wonder if he's given you any tips of what to do.
Oh yeah, no, fortunately not. But yeah, thanks for reminding me again of the 06. No, John's done us a few times. Yeah, lost the Challenge Cup to John, and lost the relegation battle to John. So he's done. He did a fantastic job that year at Wakefield, obviously. But man of his experience, he's been there, done that, and we're an absolute legend of the game. But hopefully, if I see him, I'll definitely get some tips on what to do.
I mean, in terms of taking on a team at this stage of the season and so on, I don't suppose there's that much you can do to influence the way they play. Presumably, they play in an established way, and you can perhaps tinker with that, but not change it radically. Whereas on the other hand, the other aspect of coaching is motivation and persuading a team that they can actually do what their objective is, which is obviously to win game after game after game. I wonder whether your main focus this week has been on motivation as opposed to tactical stuff on the field.
A bit of both, really. I think that's been evenly split. You're right that it's a funny time of year where you can't make wholesale changes. You can't, rip up the playbook. So, like I said previously, we're just tweaking some little bits, but then, trying to adapt the sessions so the boys are getting confident in what they're doing, because, confidence breeds from people doing the jobs and being successful on the training field and seeing the mates doing those good things and celebrating those little wins on the training field, making sure everyone's recognising when people are doing good things right, and that's a confidence thing as well. And so it's been a mix of trying to get the boys smiling, trying to get them confident. It's been an up and down season for them, so you just want to peak now at the end of the season. So yeah, we've been trying to tick all boxes this week.
And now that you're back in Super League, Danny, it would be good to think you were back to stay. Obviously, if Castleford do avoid relegation this year, I'd be very surprised if you weren't obviously offered a deal to stay with the club beyond this season. If they don't, I mean, it would still be, presumably you see yourself as being in the shop window here, because still obviously as time goes on, different clubs are looking for new coaches and so on. It's a great opportunity for you just to remind everybody of the qualities you bring to the job, and reflecting perhaps on what you achieved in 19, so that you'll be in Super League hopefully next year with, if not with Castleford, with somebody else.
Yeah, I just want to do the absolute best I can right now for Castleford. If that puts me in a shop window or anything like that, then that's for other people to see. I'm all just fully focused on these next 6 games being the absolute best I can be. Just throwing my absolute all into it. Like I said, I'm just all in for this 6 weeks, and I'm going to just try and leave no stone unturned and work the very best I can for Castleford right now. And then whatever happens in the future, that'll sort itself out there. But I'm not thinking about putting myself in a shop window or trying to show people what I can do. I just want to get Castleford to where they need to be and help this group of players be the best that they can be. And
just one final point: have you given the players a bit of tuition about how to handle a golden point situation if one arises, having watched 1 or 2 quite recently?
I think they'll have been involved themselves, and they're seeing that on telly. You can discuss it, and you can try and replicate that in training best you can as well. But nothing prepares you like for a game as well. So you'd like to think there's smart players out there. Hopefully, it don't come to that tomorrow. But there's some experienced players in there who will know what to do in situations like that. It's totally different when the pressure's on you come game day. But it's great for the fans, but not so much for us as coaches.
Well, Blake Austin's not a bad field goal kicker, is he? Let's face it.
If
he does play, of course. If he plays.
Yeah, I think he's not too bad, but yeah, if he plays, hopefully.
Just spoke to Liam, who talked about sort of stepping into what he described as quite a cutthroat situation, because obviously relegation's an alien concept to the sort of guys from the Southern Hemisphere. I just wondered, with all the sort of IMG talk about whether it's going to stay and what's going to happen in the future, what's your personal opinion of promotion and relegation, and is it good for the game that we have games like this with all the consequences it can entail?
Well, I'm not a fan of promotion and relegation, I'll be honest. Obviously being relegated twice, so I'm bound to say that, aren't I? So but I do, being involved with like London that year and what it could have done for them as a team and them as a game, if there'd have been no promotion that year, and you could build on something, certainly around your young kids. You can keep your squad together, build for the future in that sense. But I get it. It's an entertainment business as well, isn't it? And games like this, they sell tickets and games like when they're down to the last one of the season and you're fighting for promotion and relegation. I understand that aspect of it as well. So I'll try and keep everybody happy and sit on the fence a little bit. But when you're sat at the top, it's great, and you can watch other teams get relegated and fight for it. But when you're in the mix of it, it's not great from you're talking like financial point of view and the implications of clubs and players and contracts and things like that, which most lads, any lad who's been involved in them can tell you all about as well. So I'm personally not massive on promotion and relegation, but I understand why it's there, and the drama and excitement it brings as well.
Obviously, you spent a bit of time in Union. I'm just wondering, like, what are the main differences between the codes in terms of coaching?
In terms of coaching, it's same shape ball, so a lot of same principles that you're trying to do. So coaching wise, you using the same tools that you've had. They are totally two different games it's very hard. They're so similar, but yet so far apart. I've gone in there. I haven't played Union since my school days, and the game's changed a lot since then. So learning so much on the run about the game, but as a coach and how you put things across and how you try and learn, that's very similar. I think that you could transfer that throughout most sports, I think.